And howdy, howdy. Good day to you. This is the Curious Cat Show, and this is Lucky Cat Wisdom. I'm your host, Lucky Cat. And I just heard a big truck go by. Alrighty. Well, I just want to talk to you a little bit about kind of following up on something we talked about the other day about energy, the energy that you bring being the key that unlocks the door to what I said was the shed where your treasures are. Afterwards, I got to thinking about that, and I was like, well, I don't know. Are your treasures actually in a shed? Or would you like your treasure to be in a castle or a mansion or something a little bit more exciting than just a shed? But anyway, if you watch the episode before this one, you'll see me talking about that. Anyway, so energy being the key, and I told you I've been listening to more music, more this affirmation music that you can find on YouTube. A lot of good stuff. And I got to say, it is really, really helping me. And there's something else that's really helping me to keep my energy up. Let's do this side, my energy levels up. And that is dancing. Now, I got to tell you, I really am not a dancer. I mean, I guess I am. It's kind of like saying I'm not a talker when I have the ability to talk, and saying that I'm not a dancer when I can dance. Seems a little silly, doesn't it? But I've really kind of been enjoying dancing. So I put on this music, and it's just the kind of music that just has the right kind of beat that makes you want to move. It's super hard not to move something when you're listening to this kind of music. I went for a walk this morning, and I had on my headset where I could listen to the music on my phone as I'm walking around the RV park. And I'm just kind of walking, and then I get to this point where, man, I'm starting to kind of cut a rug, so to speak, out there, and I'm moving around, and I'm actually turning around. I'm walking backwards. I'm doing a little jig and with my headphones on, and I'm thinking, I really don't care what people think, right? Like if somebody sees me and I'm dancing, maybe it'll bring a little joy to their life. Maybe they'll laugh. Maybe they'll chuckle while I'm out there kind of doing this little dance step while I'm walking with the headset on. Headphones, obviously, they're going to go, well, she's listening to something really fun that's making her dance. But so dancing is something that I always felt like I had two left feet. I mean, I was an athlete, and I played volleyball, softball, basketball. Was athletically, gifted and talented, but I never felt like I could dance. I always thought I had two left feet. And I did like square dancing, though. We did some square dancing in our PE class, and I kind of did dig that. It was pretty cool. But anyway, I want to go back just here a couple of things. I don't know, this is going to be another one of those kind of grab bag for good, where there's a lot of different thoughts maybe going on, but David Bayer has some really good stuff on YouTube. David Bayer. So I really highly recommend, if you're into self-help and spiritual growth, that you check out his channel. He was talking about ignoring your reality. Now, I know that sounds kind of like a dumb thing to do, that it sounds like that would actually be a very foolish thing to do, but it can actually be the best thing that you can learn to do. And it sort of helps you to see what it is that you are focusing on in your reality. I think it's more about, what is happening, is that what's dominating? And sometimes what is happening is really fantastic and great, and sometimes it ain't. And when it ain't, that's when you have to ignore it, in a sense, and begin to focus on something a little more joyful and a little more optimistic, despite, maybe like your current health symptoms. And I deal with a lot of different things health-wise. I have for years, unfortunately. And it has been hard for me at times because, when I'm going through something health-wise, all of us have probably experienced this where it becomes the dominant thing that you're thinking about. So, sometimes you just have to go, I still have a deep joy and an optimism despite my current health symptoms that I may be having on a day-to-day basis. And it's a bit hard to explain, but I'm assured that my good is at hand. And again, that's a positive mindset. I wrote in my journal a couple of days ago, I said, I'm learning to laugh at the symptoms that are trying to keep me down. I've been listening to affirmation music and dancing along to the messages. I'm finding that my energy changes when I move my body, however slightly or however ecstatically that might be. And we had a service, Center for Spiritual Life, and at that service, I sat a little bit further back in the audience and kind of away from everybody, and I just danced a lot to the music during that service, and I just felt like it really was a fantastic thing for me, and again, helped me to bring the energy that I wanted to bring to the group of people I wanted to share it with. And the exciting thing is that I noticed in the back of the room there were a lot more dancers. I usually sit up in the front of the class. I've always been one of those students. I wanted to sit in the front because I didn't want the distractions of the people goofing off in the back of the room. Now I'm kind of like, maybe I'll be the person in the back of the room dancing with the other dancers. So anyway, dancing for healing, or are you dancing your way to health? So you could look at it either way. You could be dancing for healing, or you could be dancing your way to health. I kind of like the second one a little bit better, that I'm dancing my way to health, and that dancing is an expression of health. And even if I have some symptoms, if I can still move and listen to the beat and move, it's probably the best thing that I could do, to get moving. Movement is healing to us. And I asked the question, how does movement make a difference? How does it make a difference? Why does it make a difference? How does it move energy through your body? What is the correlation between dancing and motion and moving energy through your body? And again, why that's so important? Because that energy becomes the key that unlocks the door to your mansion where your treasure is. I also said that I can see dancing as an act of defiance or a demonstration of my faith. So maybe I'm dancing out of an act of defiance to all that feels wrong in order for all to feel right. Or maybe it's a demonstration of my faith and my joy that I am dancing my way to health. The joy of the Lord is my strength. The joy of life is my strength. The joy of dancing is my strength. And so I thought a little bit about dancing, and I'm not going to expound a lot on this subject, but it certainly is intriguing to me and piquing my interest in becoming a part of my life in a way that it never really has been, except maybe when I was a child. So maybe I am going back to being kind of a little more childish, which maybe is a good thing, huh? But anyway, dancing is a sign, at least in the way I'm looking at it, is a sign of celebration. It's like victory over an enemy or a problem. And whether you've already obtained that victory or you see that victory by faith, dancing is an important part of that celebration of overcoming or getting victory over some kind of an enemy or a problem in your life. So you can either do it before you get the total victory or after. And I was just thinking about, you can dance when you have an outstanding performance. And we see this a lot. I see this a lot in sports. Watching the women's college softball, the World Series, and someone hits a home run and they first, second, third home, and they're just dancing and excited all the way around the bases, and then they jump on home plate and everybody jumps up and down around them, and there's a lot of dancing and celebration during a home run or a grand slam or a touchdown or a three-point shot or winning at the buzzer or knocking in that little putt that gets you the Masters or whatever it is. Dancing, a way of showing, I just had an outstanding performance. Maybe the next time you do something outstanding at work or at home, maybe just dance a little bit and be like, well, yeah, touchdown, hell yeah, home run, I hit one. Celebrate and dance. And then also dancing can also be when we have an unexpected favor or good fortune. I mean, I got to tell you what, if I won the lottery, I'd be dancing. If my children came to visit me and my new grandson and they walked through the door, you darn right I'd be celebrating and dancing. So unexpected favor or good fortune. Here's a couple of affirmations you can say today. Today will be amazing. I just know it. I welcome this day with open arms. I am a magnet for all good things. I dance with joy and gratitude. Yeah, so there's a lot of other things I guess I could say today, but I'm looking at my time and I'm like, that's pretty much close to the time that I usually wrap things up. So what's going on with you today? Tell me in the comments. Did you used to dance? Would you like to dance? Do you hate dancing? I have found that I watch some people and they are so fluid, and I'm like stiff. But I'm starting to get more fluidity in my movement, and I think the more that you do it and the more that you get comfortable with it, but you can't be overthinking it. That's usually what gets me. Like when I'm in the flow and I'm just doing it and I'm having a great time, I can do pretty good. But it's when I start overthinking, or I become self-conscious that people are watching me and thinking I look stupid. Man, there's a lot to say about dancing and a lot to say about how good it is. So even if you chair dance, do what you can. Do what you can with what you have where you are. Like, if it's finger dancing or whatever, just get some movement in there and then start loosening up your body and give yourself permission to dance. Like I said, I was walking and had my headphones on and I was listening to this really upbeat affirmation music, and man, I couldn't help but do something more than just walk. Even that, this kind of walk. I mean, I actually had a few dance moves out there in the RV, on my way back to my RV. And again, I thought, it doesn't really matter what people think. It only matters how I feel. And that's something we have to learn to do. Put yourself first. It doesn't matter what other people think. It matters how you feel. Because they can't do a whole heck of a lot to help you. Their thinking isn't going to do diddly squat for you. How you feel is what's going to make the difference for you. And maybe it's just time today to put yourself first. Forget about what others think about how you're moving your body and whether you look ridiculous. There's a good chance they wish they could do what you do and were brave enough to do what you could do, because they probably know it could set them free. But, what will people think of me? It doesn't matter. How you feel about you and what you feel about your body and the reason you're dancing, now that is what matters. Well, let's just take a second here to show some gratitude. Today really is an amazing day, and I just know it, and I do welcome it with open arms. I just sense a joy that puts my feet to dancing and my mouth to praising, And I just think about in the Bible days when King David danced before the Lord. And there were people who thought he was being undignified because he was the king. How dare the king dance? But he had joy. They were bringing the Ark of the Covenant back to Jerusalem, and he had so much joy he just delighted and danced before the Lord. And let us just think about that for a minute. Have you ever had a time in your life where you just could not contain it? You broke out into a spontaneous dance before you even knew what you were doing, because there was so much joy and so much energy that had to get expressed through your body, and dancing or shouting or leaping or whatever it was the only way to release that energy. And I recognize and realize today that joy, the joy of the Lord is our strength, the joy of life is our strength, the joy of dancing is our strength, and it's something we can do now. I thank you for it. I'm grateful. We just release all of our problems and worries and cares to the universe, knowing that only good can come our way, and so it is. Well, that's it, and that's all for the Curious Cat Show and for Lucky Cat Wisdom. Have a great day. We'll see you later.